Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to week 7 of our virtual capital connection. And I don't see anyone up, but if someone could just give me a thumbs up that you can hear us, I'd hate to have to start over again. I think we're good. Okay, we'll assume y'all can hear us. I see a thumbs up. Thanks, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for joining us. If this is your first time, again, thank you for joining. We keep these calls going through session, which we got a few more weeks here. During these weekly calls throughout legislative session, we aim to keep our membership apprised of potential legislation that could impact the business community and Winter Haven community in general. A few housekeeping items to start. You are all automatically muted with your video feeds off when you join the call. If you'd like to ask a question at any time during this call, feel free to either unmute yourself to ask the question or drop your question in the chat window. Anna will be watching the window and let me know if there are any questions. Also, I may ask some of you at the end of the call to give your update on your specific piece of legislation that you're watching or any general updates that would be good for our membership or anything we can help out with. And we are frozen. There we go. Just a brief agenda. Again, we'll talk through Chamber's legislative priority statement, recap of week 6, and a look ahead to week 7, and time for Q&A at the end. Once again, these are our heroes up in Tallahassee working on our behalf, and I know a lot of y'all have had meetings with them throughout session, and they've been responsive and just doing everything they can to better our community. So we're incredibly grateful for all the hard work they're doing. And again, I think we were good to pass this out early on in session. This is our legislative priority statement in conjunction with the city, local EDOs, Polk State College, and a few others. These are some of the big ticket items that we're in support of here at the Chamber or monitoring the progress of. And if you don't have a copy of this, we can definitely get it to you. Also, anything that's that pops up that might not necessarily be on our legislative priority statement, we do have a tool here at the Chamber where we have the ability to track anything that pertains to the business community, or if there's anything that pertains to your industry, let us know. We can track it for you. As Mr. Davis from Senator Stargill's office would be apt to say, though, if it has not been through a committee at this point in session, is most likely not going to be heard in 2022. And a quick look at the numbers for last week, start of this week. Just like to point out, this Thursday is the 45th day of session. So the House has ruled that they only need to provide 1 day notice for committee meetings after the 45th day. The Senate does not have a rule like this, but substantive committees are not able to meet starting on the 50th day of session unless the Senate president calls for one. Last week, we saw the Senate and the House pass 40+ bills off their floors, with 5 more bills passing both chambers and heading to Governor DeSantis's desk The governor has a total of 9 bills on his desk at the moment, and including the COVID-19 Liability Protections Act, or bill, and has until Thursday to either sign or veto that one. All right, on the Florida House, they have passed SB 7014 by a bipartisan vote of 87 to 31. As a reminder, this bill extends the COVID-19 liability protections for healthcare providers through June 1st, 2023. The goal of this bill is to discourage frivolous litigation and protect employers that were substantially impacted following governmental health and safety guidelines. The bill has been sent to Governor DeSantis and has until Thursday to either sign or veto the bill. So I'll be watching out for that one in the next 48 hours. Also a reminder, Senate Bill 280 would require local governments to adopt a business impact statement before passing an ordinance, while Senate Bill 620 allows businesses to recover damages from local governments if an ordinance or provision creates a significant loss in revenue. The local ordinances House bill passed the Civil Justice and Property Rights Subcommittee last Wednesday by a vote of 12-6. It has one committee hearing remaining in the House before going to the floor. I'll stop there if there are any questions on anything we've spoken of. If not, we'll move right along, see a few things in the chat. Good morning, good morning. Okay, perfect.
I got one thing I can bring up real quick.
Yes, sir.
On the COVID liability waiver for hospitals bill, we are getting some pushback from folks who are, I think they misunderstand what the bill does. This is being led by an attorney out of Gainesville named Jeff Childers. He has a popular blog called COVID and Coffee. And apparently a lot of folks there in Polk County read it and have been reaching out to us, telling us to tell the governor to veto the bill. The belief is that hospitals, in order to get the waiver, they have to follow all the CDC guidelines, and therefore they would lose that waiver if they were to prescribe ivermectin and other experimental drugs. And these folks are concerned about that. They think that's why they're going to hospitals being denied the treatment they think they should be able to get. And many people now believe that, you know, whether they're correct or not, they believe that their loved ones have died unnecessarily because they did not get to try those drugs. So they're pushing back on us. It's a small group, but they're, you know, you would probably know who they are. They're in the paper working on other issues related to the school district. I think you can probably figure out who I'm talking about, but just wanted to put that on your radar. So if you meet anybody in the community and they start talking about that bill and you understand where they're coming from, and you can maybe explain to them why that liability waiver is necessary, because otherwise hospitals would just not take COVID patients if they're afraid of being sued from folks catching COVID or, you know, dying from COVID. But anyways, just wanted to give that update on that particular bill.
Well, Chad, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I wasn't aware of that pushback. Is there a sense that that's why the governor's office is delaying the signature, or is there any hesitation?
It's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I've not heard of any concerns up here. The only reason I'm hearing about it from back home is because I'm friends with a lot of these folks. I've worked in political campaigns with them, and so I know them, and they're especially upset because the sponsors of both the Senate and the House bills are from our delegation, Representative Burton and Senator Burgess. So they kind of feel like they can get through to us, to the sponsors, and somehow try to stop it. And they feel a little bit betrayed, thinking that we are trying to do something, I don't know, with ulterior motives to prohibit them from getting treatment they think they need. And of course, that's not at all what we're doing here. That's not what the liability waiver does. And in fact, I think Lakeland Regional is now is part of an experimental program looking at ivermectin. So the CDC is starting to open up on some of those studies to see what they can find out. So it's really not a cut and dry issue, and it's certainly not any kind of a conspiracy. But that's how this blogger is portraying it. And unfortunately, this attorney out of Gainesville does not understand the process either. When he saw that I think it was the House bill was laid on the table and the Senate bill is the one that passed, or vice versa, he saw that as a sneaky parliamentary trick. And really that's what we do with every single bill. We don't, laying on the table is just a technical term, meaning that we set one down and took up the other one, but only one bill is going to pass, even though there are two identical bills moving through the process. So we've got a lot of, we tried to explain that to these folks, and unfortunately it's a little bit more complicated for them to understand exactly what's going on. So they assume the worst, that there's some sort of a conspiracy to sneak something by everybody, when in reality it's a very straightforward bill. It moved very fast because it's needed. We didn't hear any complaints about it during the emergency, and really those protections need to be there, or else there's just going to be a lot of extra frivolous lawsuits that would put our hospitals out of business. So they would just stop seeing those patients.
Gotcha. That's great input, Chad. Yeah, I wasn't aware of that, but we might take it upon ourselves to reach out to our admin and Bay Care partners today just to see if there's any way we can be helpful and just to hear it from their perspective. And, you know, if there's a call to action, obviously clock is ticking. We'll know the answer to all of this on our call next week, but we'll see if there's something we can help out with. But thank
Sure.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, Florida Tourism and Marketing, Senate Bill 434 passed the Senate a couple of weeks ago and now is on the House calendar for this afternoon. Both chambers included a $50 million line item for Visit Florida in their budget proposals for financial year 2022-23. And I think we're moving along with that one. Rural economic development. This bill, sponsored by one of our local delegates, encourages development and job growth in opportunity zones in rural communities by improving access to the Rural Infrastructure Fund, the Regional Rural Development Grant Program, and the Rural Community Development Revolving Loan Fund. Last week, the House bill unanimously passed the Commerce Committee and is now moving on to the House calendar. The Senate bill will be discussed during the Office of Economic and Demographic Research's Revenue Estimating Impact Conference to determine the bill's fiscal impact. Say that 20 times fast. The conference is set to meet Wednesday and Friday of this week. And Bruce, I saw you're on the call. Not to put you on the spot, you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but anything to add here, if this would affect Winter Haven, or we're talking truly rural areas of the state with this one? Okay, not hearing anything, so no worries. We'll move right along. And again, the student assessments, again, trying to get away from that end of year to throughout the year progress monitoring system. This is placed on the calendar for a second reading on the Senate side, and then on the House side, it's passed the pre-K through 12 Appropriation Subcommittee 15-0. And now in Education and Employment Committee. And we up to date on that one? Okay, good deal. All right, and there are two extra bills we'd like to put on your radar. The first is Senate Bill 1412, which would limit the subject of citizens' initiatives to procedural issues to deter out-of-state lobbyists and special interest groups from influencing Florida politics. This passed the Senate Ethics and Elections Committee with a vote of 5-4 a couple of weeks ago, but there was no further movement on this bill in either chamber last week. And again, sometimes a workaround our state legislature is for these outside groups to try to get things through our Florida Constitution, which makes things really cumbersome if we were to try to change things down the road. So just trying to curb that one. All right, and the second we mentioned wanting on your radar is House Bill 9. This bill has to do with consumer data privacy. And basically this bill would regulate companies that could collect or sell consumer data and provides consumers the right to request the data be deleted, not sold, or corrected. While the bill unanimously passed the House Commerce Committee 23-0, there seems to be a lot of opposition to it. The biggest concern is that the bill contains a private right of action as an enforcement mechanism if a business fails to correct, delete, or stop selling personal information. This means that the consumers are responsible for enforcing the law instead of the state government, which could lead to a wave of lawsuits filed against businesses. Last week, neither chamber took action on their respective bills, but House Bill 9 does have a second hearing in the House Judiciary Committee this week. As a reminder, passing this bill is a huge priority for both House Speaker Sprowls and Governor DeSantis. And just some additional movement for week 6. Last week, the House Ways and Means Committee rolled out their initial tax package, which includes a 2-week back-to-school sales tax holiday, a 2-week disaster preparedness sales tax holiday, a 1-week freedom sales tax holiday aimed at purchases of music, sporting and cultural event tickets, as well as specified performances, movies, museums, state parks, and fitness facilities, and a 1-week sales tax holiday aimed at tools and equipment for skilled trade workers. And just as an aside, I was telling Anna before we started, Central Florida is absolutely packed to the gills. We tried going to Lowry Park Zoo this week and couldn't even get into overflow parking. So the word is out that Central Florida is open for business, and I think we're going to see good things on the other end of COVID because of all this. Additionally, the tax package includes a summer-long sales tax exemption on children's books and a year-long sales tax exemption on diapers and infant and toddler clothing. It also includes an effort to exempt emergency loans for small businesses from the documentary stamp tax. The tax package does not currently address the return of the corporate income tax rate to 5.5%, or the governor's proposal to offer a $1 billion gas tax reduction. However, the House tax package is typically a starting point for negotiations with the Senate. The Senate has not yet released their tax package, as they are still working through several tax proposals in the committee process. Senate Bill 2508 also saw some movement last week. This bill helps protect the quality and quantity of water available to all legal users while balancing the needs of the natural environment. Last week, it passed the full Senate by a vote of 37-2 and is set to be heard on the House floor this afternoon. And I will pause because I need some water after all that, and if there are any questions from anyone in the room. All right, not seeing any questions, but if anything that you see just catches your fancy through the budget process, feel free to reach out and we'll try to hunt down some answers for you. Week 7 sneak peek, again, budget. As a reminder, the next few weeks of the session are going to be heavily focused on passing a budget. The House and Senate passed their budgets through their respective floors and will now use the conference committee process to iron out the differences in the two budgets. Budget conferencing starts at the subcommittee level and moves through the appropriations committee if decisions can't be made at the subcommittee level. At this time, decisions have not been made as to when budget conferencing will start, but we expect it'll begin either later this week or early next week. The two chambers have until March 8th to finalize the budget in order to meet the constitutionally required 72-hour cooling off period. After the 72 hours, there will be a final vote to pass the budget before it goes to Governor DeSantis for his signature. As a reminder, this is the proposed budget's totals for each chamber. And as a reminder to the reminder, we do have a constitutional mandate to pass a budget. So even if we do go beyond March 8th, they'll have to stick around and figure that one out. And that's it for the prepared remarks today. Again, getting heavy into budgeting. Doubt there'll be any questions, but I know Mr. Davis has some prepared remarks from Senator Stargell's office. So Mr. Davis, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Yes, so today is day 43. We are 1 week away from the 50-day mark. And what that means for us, as you've already mentioned, is that after day 50, only the Rules Committee in the Senate will be able to meet going forward, unless there is a call from the president for one of the other committees to meet. And that's usually only done in emergency circumstances. The only time I can remember us doing something similar to that was, I think, around the time of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas shooting, and we were fast tracking the public safety bill, which you can understand that would definitely qualify for an emergency situation. So things are really starting to wind down on the committee process. In the Appropriations Committee, where that Senator Stargell chairs, we have another meeting this Thursday, about a 9-hour meeting on Thursday, and then another meeting scheduled for next Monday. So with just that one meeting left on Monday, we had the agenda came out for Thursday already, but the agenda for Monday's not come out yet. We have a bunch of bills stuck in that committee, and right now we're hearing from all the folks that want their bills on the agenda. There just won't be enough time for everything. So that's kind of where we are at right now, trying to decide what's going to make it and what isn't. As far as the budget process goes, the big thing hurdle we were able to get over last week was we did reach some compromises with the environmental groups on that conforming bill that they were concerned about. That was causing a little bit of friction between the Senate and the governor, but that seems to have been resolved. So going forward, we are waiting for the budget allocations. What will happen is the budget chairs will determine how much they agree on for each sub level, each category, if you will, and then they will agree on the final number that the budget will total. And once we have those allocations, then we'll be ready to go into conferencing. And we do not have an idea right now when that'll be, but we are guessing, as you said, either later this week or possibly next week. The conferencing typically only takes maybe, I'd say, 3 or 4 days at the subcommittee level, and the committee level. Then it gets bumped up to the presiding officers to finalize and finish out everything else, and that can also take a couple days. So we're looking at roughly about a week process. If we were to start later this week, we would be, and I think we might be ahead of schedule. If we were to wait and start next week, we'd be on schedule. So we're actually doing really good time-wise. The main elephant in the room that we are still dealing with is the congressional maps. The House and Senate are sticking to their maps. They're sticking to the process and how those maps were drawn. I don't know if you saw the House and Senate district maps for the state legislative districts. Those were already passed. And there is a deadline, I believe it was last week, that interest groups had to draft a complaint with the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to consider before basically the beginnings of what would be a lawsuit. And nobody submitted anything, which is a good sign. The Supreme Court still has to certify those maps, but without any group complaining about them, we do expect that to happen without incident. So that means there seems to be a lot of confidence from the outside as to the process that the Senate and House went in drafting their maps this time around. So they are sticking to their guns when it comes to how they drafted the congressional maps, whereas the governor is sticking to his position on his maps that he's submitted. There was a little bit of a showdown last Friday in the House Reapportionment Committee meeting where an expert from a Maryland think tank showed up to testify in favor of the governor's maps. And when questioned, it was discovered that the governor's office flew him down, paid for his expenses, and that seemed to upset some of the representatives. So keep an eye on that. I think this has actually been published, so I don't think I'm saying anything out of line, but I'm hearing rumblings of a possible need for a special session to deal with those maps. So that will be the issue. If things start happening that don't make sense, it's probably tied to the disagreement that's going on with the maps. Otherwise, things happening up here in Tallahassee. This is kind of an unofficial protest week going on. We have groups that are being bussed up here. Today, we have a group, about 500, that are being bussed up to oppose the abortion ban bill, which, of course, Senator Stargell is the sponsor on the Senate side. It will be heading to the Senate floor next week for final passage. It passed out of the House last week, and it passed out of its last Senate committee yesterday. So there is a large group of people showing up for that. And then on Thursday, we will be hearing from some folks that are going to be up here protesting in favor of expanded gun rights. They are here to demand a constitutional carry provision, which will allow anyone to carry a gun in the state of Florida without need of a license, claiming that the Constitution itself is our license. So it's going to be a fun week. And also today's also Hillsborough Day, which is a lot of fun. Every county has their day, and Hillsborough, being the home of Gasparilla, they bring the big pirate ship parade float, and there'll be some pirates throwing Cubans off the ship. That is Cuban sandwiches, but they always have a little fun with that. And Busch Gardens usually shows up with some stilt walkers, and some of the zoos bring some animals. It's always a lot of fun when these groups come up and do their big days. So a lot of activity going on this week, and but otherwise everything seems to be playing out as we expected. No big surprises. and really, I think we're going to be just fine to get out of here on time. The House is in session today, by the way, and they have a very robust agenda. They're going to be there probably pretty late. Last Wednesday they were in until after midnight, and then tonight I expect them to be probably almost as late, based on some of the bills that are on the agenda there. A lot of the culture war type bills are being considered, the parental rights bills in education. There's an alimony bill, if you've been following that one, that would get rid of permanent alimony and kind of restructure how alimony is done in Florida. That one's pretty controversial. So they're in for a late night. We are not here in the Senate. We'll be going home early.
Thanks for the update, Chad. And what I'm hearing is that Polk County Day needs to step up their game. Maybe we need to figure out a way to put water skiers around the Capitol or throw out Legos.
I have some ideas. We can definitely work on that if we would like to make a presence. Clay County did their day last week, and it was fantastic. And they are a very rural county, and they're proud of it. And they take over the whole courtyard with their stuff too. So there are definitely some ideas out there if we want to expand it. I think so. The difference in Polk County Day, we do it. It's really more for us. It's really more for the folks that come up here. Running into people that you maybe haven't seen in a while. For us that are based up here in Tallahassee during session, it's a great way to reconnect with folks from back home. But some of the ones that are done in the courtyard, those are more for everybody else to showcase what we offer. So by all means, we could definitely have some exhibits from the water ski teams and Legoland, and we really could show off a lot of what Polk County has to offer if we want to do a much larger showcase like that.
Yeah, half joking, but I think there might be a cool opportunity, especially here in Winter Haven, where this summer we'll be celebrating the 100th anniversary of water skiing. Maybe doing kind of a recap of how that all played out over the summer for next session. That might be cool.
Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about it.
Yeah. Find some people around town to nominate for that task. Appreciate it, Chad. Always great to hear your updates from Senator Stargill's office.
Yes, you're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. Anyone else in the group with an update or a question? I did want to give a special shout out to Miss Anna Saavedra for putting the PowerPoint together on her day off yesterday. So everyone, again, is working overtime here at the chamber while we're still in the process of hiring our new president and CEO, but we're getting close. I won't say how close, but it feels close. Yeah, and Miss Fasking, our president at the moment, is giving her well wishes. But all right, that'll wrap it up for this week. And again, we'll be back live next Tuesday. So everyone have a great week.